There were elders in a village. They warned a warrior about a storm, how powerful the storm was, how strong the storm was. But this great warrior, he did not worry, and he looked up at the elders, and he said to them, I am the storm. This is the story of discrimination in the Native community. This is the story of the dark Native American who does not live on any reservation. This is the story of the noble minister. The dark Native is often considered black or African by the government, without having his lighter Native family members help protect his identity. So I have decided to speak out, to let people know that we are still here. I have wrote Native magazines, I have spoke all over the country to let you know that we are not gone. We must fight against injustice. We cannot let them erase us. This is my mission. This is the mission of the Native Temple of Truth. And we will fight. So here we are, 2017. We're going to go and talk to some of the natives and see how they feel about the movement and where they think we're at presently in 2017 and beyond as Native people. So here we go.
So when they mixed in, they confused the people by dividing you by color. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard for a person who knows they're Native to be here because so much people has been taught a Native looks a certain type of way. So when you say you're a Native, the first thing they do is look at you like you just want to be. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at these people that's in these tribes, you can understand, or there's in these reservations, you can look at them and tell that these couldn't have been the Native people before Columbus was here if you listen to what Columbus and what certain people said they looked like. So, you know, I'm not saying all of them didn't, but what I'm saying is the Indian that you see today is more of a mixed breed than anything. Look up the history of Nat Turner, look up with the Native Americans, and you'll understand that when he died, his family still stayed with the Native Americans and lived amongst them. So how can a person live amongst the people from another people and not look like them and have them? That's all I gotta ask. The same thing about Moses when he went to Egypt. The same thing they say about Jesus. Anything. How? How can the people have from another people?
Well, for me personally, I am half Native. I don't know the exact percentage. My grandmother, she was Native. All dark Natives, and it's kind of messed up because we're looked at upon as. It's really kind of messed up because we don't get the benefits some of these other natives that get. They got their own land, their reservation, their plots. I know America did y'all fucked up, but truth be told, the American did the dark natives worse than anybody in the history of this planet. Even worse than slaves. Even worse than the so-called African slave, because other than we were annihilated. You know what I'm saying? We were annihilated, not just physically, but mentally. Like they basically made you think you were African. You were 100% African. Although I do believe in the slave trade. I do believe in melanated people coming from the west coast of Africa over here. I think we were merged together as one. Because if you study history, you would know that natives from this land were taken to Africa, the west coast of Africa, and Africans were taken over here. So we know that just by using that common logic that they were mixed together. You got to know this. You got people that look that much and were mixed upon each other with the white people above us supposedly being the superior race, doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do to us.
He's just like us, He's speaking, what I'm saying? He's teaching, a lot of stuff that, a lot of us around here teaching. We've been teaching.
In America, you got trespassing as a crime. You got stealing as a crime. But discrimination, there is no crime.
So the noble minister Prince Warcraft, one of the first conscious brothers I ever met in my life before I even knew what consciousness was. When back in high school, I can remember him leading me and a couple of other brothers and not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. And at the time, I mean, I understood what he was saying, you know what I'm saying? But it was like I was just doing it to be rebellious. You know what I'm saying? Now, 10, 12, however long years later, we got the brother Colin Kaepernick doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, me and DT been doing this since fucking high school, man. I ain't stood up for the Pledge of Allegiance since high school. You know what I'm saying? So this the type of person doing this since fucking high school, man. I ain't stood up for the Pledge of Allegiance since high school. You know what I'm saying? So this the type of person the noble minister is. You know what I'm saying? He was ahead of his time, and that's about all I got to say.
So this story is kind of different than every other Native story because this story is actually about the darker Native American and the Native American that does not live on the reservation. So I decided to figure out how could I tell this story? How could I tell about this? Tell us to support each other. I can understand that I'm a person of controversy. That's because the things that I speak is the voice of the ancestors who in this modern day time, their voice has been forgotten. But I am upset at the ministers who dare to use scripture to justify the non-unification of our people. Powhatan people. And the Powhatan people were one of the first natives encountered. And we originated from Virginia Beach. But when you look at the reservation people, a lot of our people are not on the reservation. So what about their story? Who is going to tell about their struggle? This is my personal opinion that we are the originals of this land.
About this DNA thing, I want people to understand that the trickery they doing with this DNA. Now, if you go YouTube, go to 6060 exposed DNA testing. The DNA tester have already admitted that he cannot tell you what tribe you come from because the more generations you go down, the more grandparents you have. So all they can do is pick one side of your genes or DNA and go through that lineage. They can't determine what tribe you were in before they came and got you. Now, when they try to say that no black person is a Native American, y'all have to understand the language that they're using. They're talking about an African that supposedly had came off the boat, okay? But when you're talking about black people, you got to realize that they put the black and the Indian and the black people together, okay? So they trying to confuse you with these words because the Indian or the so-called Native American was black. My movement is speaking the truth about the Native history that to me have been forgotten. A lot of things have been lied about and miscrewed, and now this story right here, this is a story about that I want to tell y'all about that people don't really know about Nat Turner. Now, Nat Turner was a preacher, but he hung with a certain tribe of Native Americans. And these Native Americans were rebel people. Okay? And come to find out, if you look at the history, Nat Turner family is still with that Native people today. And that's where they ran to and hid amongst the people to hide from Europeans. Now, what I gotta say is the same people who turn around and say, if Moses he can hide in Egypt, how can he not look like them people? The same way I would say, how can Nat Turner hide amongst Native Americans and nobody and to hide amongst the people from the European if they didn't look nothing alike?
And they feared rebellions. When I say we, they, I'm talking about the Europeans. The Europeans feared rebellions. So what they did was, when they came over here to the United States, and the Indians or the natives they captured and turned them into slaves, they took the women, made those slaves of the Americas, and took the men and shipped them to the Caribbean, Europe, and Africa. You know what I'm saying? So
something new. See, when people hear something familiar, they become more receptive to it because they are used to it. But I'm telling you, sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone and realize that sometimes somebody is trying to tell you and warn the people. And you cannot ignore them because what they're saying is new to you.
To wake my Native people up to see if we are fully evolving and becoming with what our full potential can be. Well, I would like to have my own temple or church, and help the homeless. There's a lot of places in the city that I'm from don't help the homeless. Even a lot of the churches, and I would like to help the homeless and make a reach. So, where do we go from here? There's no excuse for any native to be homeless. None of our people. Dark in fact we are, but we are beautiful. This is our land. Homelessness would have never been a part of our culture. We lived on great plains with plenty of land for our people.
One, that wasn't the first contact. Another thing we have to start understanding is stop calling everybody an Indian over here, because there's certain people that came over here and took the traditions of people, meaning the European came over here, mixed in, started tribes. The Chinese people came over here, started tribes. So we have to understand that. Then he tried to say the high cheekbones and straight hair comes from the European. It could. That's what we're trying to tell you, that the Indians today that they're showing around today is not the Indian that was back in the day. And that's what you got to understand. When you go into the man that navigated the Moor to help Columbus and them get over here, when he first seen the Native Americans on Jamestown, he said they remind him of the Ethiopians in Africa. Okay, so we have to stop with this believing everything that these people say, because these people don't know. These people cannot tell you for real. They are guessing like everybody else is guessing. They can't tell you exactly when something came. They can't tell you exactly when somebody met. These people whose history is the earliest history out of anybody, how is they telling us history that our ancient history?
Having tribal warfare, lying to your tribal members, talking about you a sovereign nation. I never seen a sovereign nation without an army. Don't sell your soul just to get a reservation. Don't sell your soul just to get government funding. I can remember when I was young, sickness fell on my body. I laid in the bed and thought I was going to die. But then I remember them talking about Jesus. And they said a lot of things about Jesus. But I remember one thing they said, that he was a healer. So I cried out to God and I said, God, please heal me. And he healed my body. He'll heal your mind. And he'll take your soul to God. I I hear these people out here saying there ain't no heaven, there ain't no hell. Get ready for World War III. Nuclear fire. The world's gonna end by fire, not water this time. Yeah, there's a fire, nigga, and it's burning your soul. Remember the soul that you sold to Satan? Native people becoming part of the craft. Doing all type of sorcery and witchcraft. Worshiping the land. There is no Mother Earth. There is no Stargate God. There's only one God. The Great Spirit. I charge you today to call on the Great Spirit like the days of our ancestors.
Our people invented the blues, yet we get no credit. So this is what I play. This is what I sing. Our people are also responsible for many, many modern inventions, yet we get no credit for it. We also invented crop rotation, which helps sustains any modern society today.
Top of a mountain, he talked about eagles flying, and he said that the wildlife is dying. And he started crying. Hey, I wonder why. And he said, don't forget about the American lion, American lion. Zion. Please don't forget about the American lion. And he hung his head. Don't think for me, this is what he said. Back down from no one, try to have good luck and never be afraid. And then he started crying. Yeah, I wonder why. And he told me, don't forget about the American lion. American lion. Yeah, I'm calling to the children of Zion. Please don't forget about the American lion. Everybody tell, I think I'm lying. About the native man on top of the crying. They don't believe that I'm the voice of Zion, American lion. Please, I'm calling to the children of Zion. Don't forget about the American lion. Don't forget about the American lion.
The native statistics could not be determined because there's too many natives that's not being counted. There's too many unrecognized tribes. So we conclude this. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. Thinking about retiring. But who knows? One day you might hear me and say, there he goes again. But until then, peace.
Give it up for the noble minister, Prince Warcry!
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong.